Hello. Welcome back to Lessons in Attachment. Honestly, I don't take it for granted that you're here. I know that there are so many podcasts and it's only growing, right? Because attachment is becoming kind of more of a buzzword. So it's an honor, honestly, to have you here and for you to trust in me. And maybe you're brand new here and welcome if you are, welcome back if you're not. Yeah, I'm Carly Ann. I am the founder of an online membership called the Attachment Recovery Gym. It is for people who are struggling with their attachment wounds. And I'm really passionate about helping you to become more secure and more confident when it comes to the different issues faced by people that have anxious attachment. So, actually, not even just romantic relationships, because having an anxious attachment, it impacts us in so many areas of our lives. And I think that for me, that's been something that's really important in my own journey of becoming secure, really helping myself as a whole person to break cycles of anxious attachment. Today, I'm continuing the topic about ghosting. A couple of episodes ago, I discussed with you typically what people feel about ghosting. So, whether you're the person that's done the ghosting or you're the person that has been ghosted, we looked at a study called Emotional Experiences of Ghosting by Friedman in 2022 and other psychologists as well. And we really looked at what was the emotional experience of the ghoster and the ghosties, as I referred to them. Today, I want to just take it a little bit further, still considering what was found in this research. And I want to think about the reasons why people ghost. So we're just going to go through a few reasons, and there may be more. Everything is so nuanced, everyone is an individual. But according, in this research, this is what was mentioned. And so that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. Really, what we're thinking about is, why do people choose ghosting? So, ghosting, remember, is how many relationships end today, especially when they are early on, especially in the digital world that we live in. Ghosting is when the relationship ends and is cut off without communication, without closure. It just ends, radio silence. And we've spoken about the impact of that. And if you've been ghosted, you already know the impact of that. If you've been the ghoster, you will also know how that feels. And I know for me, when I've fallen into that pattern in the past, it doesn't feel good, but we don't really remember the times that we've done it. We remember the times it's happened to us. And you've got to be really honest about the times that you've done it. Yeah. And it may not be really obvious. You may have to really look at how you ended certain situations, about whether you did give closure, whether you did have a conversation with someone. And that's just to take a bit of responsibility. But anyway, let's come at this from the perspective, though, of if you've been ghosted and you're in the thick of it, it's so awful. And I will say this. If you are a member of the Attachment Recovery Gym, if you type into the hub ghosting, you will see that there is, I love the name of this, a Ghostbuster method. I think that's genius. A Ghostbuster method to help you if you have been ghosted, to help you to move on, help you to get perspective, to get out of the hole that it puts you in, and to be able to move on. So the Ghostbuster method, search for that, and yeah, enjoy doing the work on that. So let's get back to this episode. So here's a breakdown of some of the reasons that people may choose ghosting over having that direct conversation. So first and foremost, maybe it's the most obvious, is to avoid an awkward or difficult conversation. Many people struggle with confrontation, or they feel really anxious about upsetting another person. Ending a relationship, no matter how small, no matter how many dates you'd been on, it can be so uncomfortable. And ghosting can actually feel like the easy way to avoid and to sidestep that discomfort. So, avoiding an awkward or difficult conversation is one of the main reasons people will do this. Another reason that this study points out is because people seem to believe that the other person will just get the hint. So, some ghosters assume that silence speaks for itself. I don't need to say anything because by not responding, the other person is going to understand that I'm not interested without the need to outright reject, without the need to outright have that uncomfortable conversation. The other person will get the hint. Yeah, so they would rather ghost because they believe that this tells you what you need to know anyway. A lack of seriousness in the relationship or not being that invested in the relationship to begin with. So if the connection was casual or kind of not deeply meaningful to the ghoster, they may not feel the need to explain themselves. They may not feel the need to provide you with that closure. They don't see the relationship as significant enough to warrant a proper ending. I'm not saying that that's right. This is just one of the reasons that's suggested. This one, I'm going to be honest, might hurt, but another reason is the ghoster meeting or reconnecting with someone else. I'm not saying that is the reason, so please don't take that and run with it to mean that that's what's happening in your situation. It's just what was looked at in this research. And I guess really what that is suggesting is that the person doesn't want to have an uncomfortable conversation with you. Yeah, so I would say it's more about that. The other reason could be the undesirable traits or behaviors of the ghostee. If the ghostee was disrespectful or aggressive, manipulative, lots of conflict, then they may feel unsafe to have these conversations. They may not feel like they need to have these conversations. And who knows what your thoughts are on that? Maybe you think that that's fair. Maybe you've been in a situation where someone has been disrespectful or manipulative, and you thought, you know what, I'm just going to end this. I'm not even going to continue to engage. I think that's a really important point to consider. Of course, you're going to know if you're not that type of person. This may really not apply to you at all. This is just one of the reasons, right? And I'm going to keep saying that because I think it's really important that you don't hear this list and assume it must be one of these and that I must have upset them or manipulated them. This is just, generalized ideas. And the other reason that's mentioned as well is as an attempt to avoid hurting the ghostie's feelings. And we may think that's crazy. It hurts even more to be ghosted than to have a conversation. But there is sometimes this belief that by having the conversation, I'm going to upset this person, I'm going to hurt them. We can't really fathom the idea that when I'm not having the conversation, they're experiencing more pain. People just think, I don't want to reject someone. I don't want to hurt them in that moment, not really considering the wider impact that ghosting has on a person, which, we know how much it can impact your self-esteem and it can knock you and spiral your thoughts and all things like that. So, yeah, both ghosters and ghosties in this study tended to agree on these potential reasons for ghosting. And like I said, just that technology really did play a significant role in the ending and ghosting happening as well. So I just think that's really interesting. Okay. Make of that what you will. It's food for thought. Like I said, if you're in the attachment recovery gym or you're not and you want to, you can certainly join. And we have the Ghostbuster method in there to help you if you have been ghosted and you're feeling in the thick of it and you just need some support around that. Yeah, ghosting, gosh, it's just such a minefield and it can knock you for six, but don't let it stand in the way of you and what you value, you and the life that you want, you and the relationship that you want, you and your self-worth. Okay, don't forget, if we trip, we get up and we go again. Guys, let me know what you think of this information. You don't have to agree with it at all. You may have other ideas. You can leave comments. You can come and speak to me on Instagram, carly.ann_. I'm really curious to hear what you think about this because I just think it's so interesting. Okay, I'm rambling, so I will be back here soon. Check out the Attachment Recovery Gym. Check out my 10-week course, Becoming Secure, and I'll see you back here soon.